See all you legal people stick together, that's what they're all about. My question's gonna be in the permanency.
Yes.
I think, and again, my distinguished colleague down here, I think he brought it up before. On the foster care situation,
Yes.
there's gonna be a lot of questions in the legislature about what we did here as respects foster care. It was a very sensitive subject in the last session, to say the least. My question is, when we talk about, we haven't done anything yet, I know the RFP is being redone. When I read this recommendation, the things I'm reading in the recommendation, it would be nice to know what's gonna go into this RFP. Is this stuff going in the RFP, what we're talking about here?
We have not begun revising the RFP. We were waiting on this to do that because we wanted to be sure and reflect anything that was in here. What we did was go with an option to let the RFP. So at this point, we've not revised that. There's opportunity to include these things if we do that.
Because I think it would be very helpful for January, the 12th or 13th, whatever the day is. Whenever this stuff's coming out, that we've covered this point, so that people know what's being done, that we're doing something.
Right.
Okay, I think that's very, very important, because, that was a very big subject in the General Assembly last
Well, it
Sunday.
goes to what Judge Walker's saying about the need of having foster parents. What's the answer to it, Judge? What do you see as the failure on our ability to draw people in who will do foster care services?
Well, Bobby and I've had very serious discussions about this, and basically I don't need social workers out recruiting and training foster parents. I need marketing people. I need people that actually understand how to use media. And also we have to build within the department the structure or private agencies on how to collect that data and how to get it organized. I mean, my wish list on this is so long that I'm not going to be permitted to stand here that long. So, but yes, there's a tremendous amount of needs.
I'll tell you the other thing, if we're gonna, I think, in good conscience, go out and do a, kind of a marketing campaign to get more families, what has to go hand in hand with that are the resources for mental health.
Right.
Because in talking with some families who have done that, who've adopted children, who have either fetal alcohol syndrome or come from abusive situations, what they're left with is a situation where they're now having to manage a child with a lot of emotional difficulties, and they don't know how. They've never had the training to deal with that, and getting mental health, particularly for younger children, is incredibly difficult in this state. So if we're going to really, say to a parent, do this wonderful thing, we've also got to offer them the resources to support them in doing that wonderful thing. And that's what I see kind of missing from.
As following it, I remember the testimony we heard, Richard Jackson came in with his group up in North Fulton. And one of the things that stuck in my mind, most of these children have a myriad of problems. And what they were doing was evolving people. It could be 4 or 5 people with certain expertise with that particular child. Government can't do all this. We can't hire enough people with that expertise, particularly for what we pay. And that was the big thing that struck me, what you just said with the mental health. Because all these, they don't have one issue, these kids. They don't have one problem. They got a myriad. And we need people working with this, a support group, not just one individual, including foster parents. So it's a big, this is a big deal here. And to me, I just want to make sure that we cover this in this report, that we are moving forward to do something.
It is, but the way we do business guarantees failure, because we recruit brand new foster parents and then we load them up. We don't give them a sibling group or a child. We give them maximum capacity. They have 3 kids of their own and we give them 6 more. And we guarantee, and we don't offer any supports, and we guarantee that they cannot do what we're asking them to do. So I think that we have to totally restructure how we're doing foster care.
I would add into this that we have some faith-based organizations in the state that are doing an incredible job of this. And, Bobby made the point earlier that he made the point in regards to building relationships and how we've been so busy with dealing with the immediate issues that we haven't done things like build relationships. We've also been so busy dealing with the immediate issues that I think that we are now to a place that we can shift our focus on really growing these types of organizations, and Faith Bridge is one of those. But we have a number of churches that are recruiting families. They already pair them with a respite family and 2 or 3 support families already. They go through extensive training and they're ready, but then there are just, there are some blocks that we've seen, and then once they've done all that, they've gone through their home studies and everything, but just getting that final approval so that courts and DFACs can start placing children with them is a barrier that's there. So all this, I think, it's getting better every day, and all those systems are gonna be improved. We also, Katie Jo and others at DFACs have been working to really look at, are there barriers in place in regards to our policies that would make it difficult for those groups to expand? Because right now, if they're in one county, but we really have a model that can be replicated in other churches and faith-based, they can. It's difficult to do because of some policy barriers. We're working to remove those barriers, and so I think you'll see a real uptick in the number of foster families we have. As a year from now, I think you'll see a real improvement there.
Crystal.
I'd just say it's back to our opposite of Chairman Wood's recommendation of county boards and the district boards and the state level advisory board. I mean, to me, to me, if that is integrated and working properly, it helps in a lot of areas. It helps with the community public relations in terms of understanding what all these issues are, and elevates the idea around the foster parent needs and these kind of things. Everybody working together. And I think that's one of the things that's missing. I mean, you got a lot of these different needs. You got the mental health needs, you got a lot of these same needs. But I think that the whole idea of public relations, PR, is a rebrand, is a better way for the public and the communities to better appreciate what we need and what we're doing. So I just can't say it enough that this statewide integration of community leaders coming together and understanding common problems, how far that will go in terms of trying to address some of these issues.
Crystal.
Crystal.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I think, under this permanency, the second recommendation makes me really excited, first of all, about engaging the community. One thing I was thinking about, is just an emphasis on the older young people, because it's saying here that 84% of young people over the age of 12 in Georgia are in group home settings right now. And knowing that it's a trend that we're moving away from group homes, and also knowing that just in general, people don't want to foster teenagers, just as a general, people just don't want to foster teenagers. And also knowing that we're extending foster care to 21, all these things playing together, just some additional supports needed specifically that are developmentally appropriate for those older young people, I think is huge. And also taking into consideration that population of young people who will be coming in because of DJJ, the juvenile justice reform, and the special tools that foster parents and adoptive parents will need to support those young people, I think is also really huge. And so I think the training and the awareness around older young people and what is needed to foster older young people, and just really equipping those foster parents. Because I think moving away from that institutional setting, I think there are definitely some pros, and I think there's some cons to that as well. Because there are certain supports wrapped around the institution, but in a foster home, they still need to have those same supports, even though it's not going to be in an institutional setting. So I think that one just really made me excited. And also with the room board and watchful oversight, I also think that just that whole framework is geared towards young people, geared towards children, not teenagers. Just a lot of the wording in there is for children. And so just thinking about how, if we're going to be extending foster care and providing those services for older young people, how can we ensure that they're gonna have, because I work with a young girl who has been institutionalized. She has no mental disability since the age of 2. She aged out, didn't go to college, and now she's still in that same group home placement. And she's just out of the kindness of their heart for letting her stay there, because she didn't have the supports and still didn't have the equipment to move forward. So I'm just really passionate about that particular point. But I definitely think that, getting the private providers, getting the community involved is going to be really huge.
I have a lot of questions.
Rep-
Oh, you were just trying to have a vote, the chairman was similar to that.
Thank you. I want to ask Ms. Walker on your recommendation about the diligent search. Do you have a recommendation as to what changes be made there?
As to making specific recommendations, I'd like to have a conversation with Bobby first.
Okay.
Because I really think that we need to be in alignment with what the department is doing. Because I really do understand
Yeah.
making sure that teenagers don't age out without a family. But my concern is not doing damage. So I think we can work out a specific recommendation.
Let me share for you. Are all these children under the jurisdiction at the time of the court?
Yes.
And I've heard some judges talk about this advertising problem, which means we've got to stretch it out for 60 to 90 days more because of that. But I think if the juvenile court judges with the defects will come up with a recommendation, I think the legislation could deal with it.
That's why I want some time between now and the magic date in January to have further conversations. I also want to add to what Crystal said. There's some new federal legislation that I forwarded today to Director Cagle, to Stephanie Blank, and to Aaron that talks about what things we are going to be expected to do in supporting our older youth. And we are moving very much away from the group home settings with the idea that we can reduce vulnerability for sex trafficking if we have better one-on-one relationships and better supervision of our teens by having more family-like settings. And I certainly support that. And I think the mistake we're making, Crystal, is that if we would go to high schools and we would recruit high school parents and we would recruit teachers, I think we can provide homes for teens, because there are people who love teenagers. I'm one of those that used to teach high school, and I actually love teenagers.